The following podcast is an enticing media production. Thank you for listening to this podcast. You are now socially obligated to pour yourself a drink, and welcome to The Drunk Squirrel.
Okay, so
Wait, are we talking now?
Yeah,
We're not just staring at each other in silence?
we're not gazing into each other's eyes.
Oh, I'm looking into your eyes, Kenny.
As you should be.
I see what you married him for, Nell.
I'd also like to point out that while this episode is 2 weeks later, this is about 10 minutes later. From
20, because we, well, 15.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because we went out and talked to our wives and
We
then
did.
ran back in here going, nope, we don't want to be a part of that.
No, there was some stuff going out there out there that I just don't need to be a part of talking about.
They were swapping stories on stuff, and it's, no, we're out.
Yeah. So, but also what has happened is randomly,
Kenny, why do you have a bottle of rum?
I came back into the office/studio where we're recording, and there's a bottle of Gosling's Black Seal Bermuda rum.
Where did the rum go? Why is the rum gone?
Well, this bottle was full when you got here, first off, and it is no longer close to full.
We're at what, 3 drinks in collectively?
And it's Monday night, too, so.
And I pour a little bit heavy.
But you know what? We've had this conversation before. Rum can be poured very heavily, especially spiced rum.
Yes.
Like a dark spiced rum.
Oh, and
It's not bitey. So,
and I love it with the Gosling's ginger beer. Like,
I feel like
the taste of this I love.
Well, I feel like that makes the drink kind of right. This is just what the drink is, and if you're not doing it that way, then
Although I've come to, in the past year and a half, I've come to appreciate rum and Coke.
right. But that's not the same as what we're drinking here.
No, but again, I'm looking and I'm saying I've come to appreciate rum more in the past year. Well, year and a half. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I feel like I may have force-fed you some of that rum. But also,
I might have ho and hummed, but that was me being a drama llama.
In the same token, Rob, I've come to appreciate bourbon.
I know, you were outside griping, we're out of bourbons.
Yeah.
We're out of whiskeys.
Yeah, we have, there's a half a bottle of Widow Jane out there, but that's not a weekday sipper.
No,
it's a little expensive, but.
That's a sit down, put on some nice music, maybe have the fire going.
Yeah. Speaking of bourbon, and I'll share this story in more detail after we get done recording, because I feel like I'm not throwing somebody under the bus here. But I was last weekend, we were down in Maryland, and Nell's parents were down there, and I was with Randy at the liquor store, and he bought a lot of bourbon, and he bought a bottle of Pappy.
Okay.
So...
I've not had Pappy. I've heard about Pappy.
I
think I've heard about Pappy from you.
I haven't had Pappy either, and I would be terrified, considering what he paid for this bottle. I would be terrified to open it.
Well, we've talked about having him on the podcast if we can ever get the clearances.
So they will be. We'll see how this works out, because they will be in town Memorial Day weekend. They will be here Memorial Day weekend. So perhaps we could squeeze in a quick recording session somewhere in that.
I'll always squeeze in a quickie.
And it's important. It's important if you're offered a quickie that you squeeze it in. I mean, yeah. I didn't even mean it that way. I didn't.
Oh man,
I didn't realize it was going to come out that way.
That's what she said. You have got to watch The Office. Oh my gosh, you've got to watch The Office.
Well, that might be the next thing after Suits, because we're going to be soon done.
Yeah. All right. That's another rabbit trail. But I have a question for you.
Okay.
That is not part of the questions that we'll do.
Correct.
Now.
And we talked about at the end of the last episode that we have 2 questions left. We were wrong. We were drinking, and there actually is only 1 question left from Nell. So,
right, and then I had a bright idea about what a 4th question could be, and you know what's great?
What?
I didn't write it down,
and you don't remember it.
I'm trying to remember.
All right.
Maybe if I have another sip, that'll help.
We can dig into Nell's.
Well, before we get into Nell's question, okay, we've done this for a year and a half, and we started with a conversation on the Dark and Stormies, and you've grown to have an appreciation for whiskey.
Oh yes, very much.
I've grown to have an appreciation for rum. That's not just Dark and Stormies. So we've had a couple different drinks. Our defaults have been either rum or whiskeys.
Yeah,
but we have had a couple very different drinks with some very different people, and I'm not the kind of person who's going to ever ask, who was your favorite get? That just seems like it's a setup for failure.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you would.
No, because each of them is unique and has been a wonderful conversation on their fields or topics, or 100%. And some of it has been, you carry the conversation or I do, and that's the uniqueness of who you and I are. But what has been one of your favorite drinks?
2 stand out to me.
2?
2. And I think the first may have aided in the nudge towards the bourbon and whiskey.
I think I know which one you're going to say.
And it was when Robin was on, and we had the Presbyterians. And so that was like bourbon, but it was like there was other stuff in it, so it kind of toned it down a little bit, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, that was a drink that even Melinda was like, oh, wow, I could get behind this.
Well, I remember I went back for a second, and you guys looked at me like,
well, we didn't know what to do.
What is he doing?
Because you were always like, whiskey is horrible.
Well, that's the way I always felt.
But here you are.
Here I am now.
You're sitting there on radio shows like, yep, I'm sipping at this.
I just love, there's not much I enjoy more than sipping some whiskey.
All right, I know it's a complicated bit, but you should try it with a cigar.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that I'm there yet.
Which is fine. But I can tell you this, there's almost nothing better than sitting around a fire with a cigar in one hand and a whiskey in another and friends all around.
Yeah. That sounds amazing. And we've done that.
Well,
I just wasn't
I would
smoking
also
the cigar.
appreciate not having to, smoke with Nell and was it Christina at Christmas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It was me and 2 women. Come on, Ken.
So you had
Come on, Ken, you got to help me.
You're complaining.
I know.
So let me get this straight.
I love my wife.
Anyway, so we won't go there.
I love my wife.
We won't go. So I apologize. But I feel like if we got Randy on the show, he would want to drink bourbon, and he would probably not in the office. We're not going to do that in the office, but
which is fair. We've talked about doing this outside because
so
you have a beautiful deck.
Yeah, maybe. I appreciate you noticing from across the room, big fella.
Hey, we're all about opening the caminos here,
But yeah, perhaps we could, record on the deck, or if it's a nice enough day, So, or we just record in here, and then we
go. Then
we retreat to the deck or around the fire pit or whatever it may be.
Well, and there's plenty that I want to. We've even talked about this, where there's plenty that Ray should pick Randy's brain about. But I have questions.
Yeah,
he's done some cool crap.
Yeah, he does.
So,
or he has.
Yeah,
a lot of which he can't even begin to speak on. But
I know, but even the stuff he can, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he would be, I think, a fantastic person to have on.
See, look at that. We went down another rabbit hole just from what was a favorite drink.
We might. That may even have to be a 2-parter. I'm not really sure. I feel like that would go down a lot of roads.
Hey, I'm all for. Well, that's why we're here.
So anyway,
jeez,
yeah.
Let's just have a drink and find out what you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not that's classified.
Not well. He wouldn't say it anyway.
Yeah, well, I know, but
only after he retires. But even then, there's a certain number of years, I'm sure. But anyway, I didn't give my second because you asked for 2.
That's right. You did have 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I asked for 1, but you said you had 2.
Yes. But then my second favorite was when we finished that bottle of Booker's when Jeremy was in town.
I forgot about the Bookers.
Yeah. That was a rough day for me.
I was going to say, you might have collapsed on the couch. I got to admit, I was not far behind.
It was.
I was holding on there.
It was
rough. That was a good bottle.
Yeah.
And that was a good bottle shared in new conversations because I had never met Jeremy before.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was really the first time that I had spent that amount of time with Jeremy.
Yeah.
You know, we had been in the same. Before that, I had only met him once. And we went from meeting him once for like an hour to him staying in my house for 4 days. So, you know, things progress quickly.
That is one of the neat things that you're able to do.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Sorry, I'm sitting here thinking, am I able to do it? Or, well, let me rephrase that. Am I not able to do it because the immediate question I have in my head is my kids?
Yeah.
Or am I not able to do it because I just don't like having people in my house in that way for 4 days?
Okay, fair question.
And I'll give context.
I'm gonna say what do you think it is?
I'll give context.
Okay. Yeah.
Early in our marriage, there was a friend of me and Melinda's who was like, "Hey, yeah, I'm gonna be passing through, and I'd love to stop and see you." And what was going to be a 2-day stopover turned into like a 5-day. And finally, Melinda and I were like, "Look, we're going on vacation tomorrow."
Yeah.
We weren't.
Oh.
But it was just, you got to go.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. So, I mean, we faked a vacation.
Yeah.
To get this person out of our house.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that, like, feels that way, where it's like, okay, if I have someone over again, am I going to be dealing with the guest who never goes away?
Yeah, I understand that. I mean,
and one last element of context, Melinda was pregnant with Ray.
Oh, okay.
At the time. So,
yeah. So there was that element.
Yeah. And, I mean, they were single. They had no idea what it was to be in a marriage, let alone a marriage with a woman who's very pregnant and hormonal, and I think she's going to kill me.
And then she might kill you.
Oh, yeah, well.
Not you, but them.
No, she would have me kill them and then kill me.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because not you, but generally speaking, you have a routine in your own home, right? It's your sanctuary, it's your safe place when the world just can't get to you, right? And then when it's disrupted in that way, so yeah, after a certain amount of time, it's like I just want to go back to normal.
This is maybe a conversation for another day, but there's also an element of living in a fishbowl and being in ministry. Like my life is on display. Yeah. And how I live my life. You know, I don't hide that I podcast or even what the premise of the podcast or any of that is, but I do try to not label or advertise that to the students. And, you know,
they'll figure it out on their own anyway, but...
Oh, they already have. They know.
They're not dumb.
I'm there on Sunday morning, and it's every other Sunday I have the Drunk Squirrel mug with me.
Yeah. So yeah,
they know.
They know, and it's definitely a different situation when you have a public, and this is on the craziest, smallest scale in regards to having a public lifestyle, right? Because then these, celebrities, it's just a whole other level. But even on this small level, like sometimes it's like I just kind of don't want anybody to need anything from me for like this
5 minutes.
The rest of this, 5
minutes.
Yeah. I understand, and I've been there a whole bunch of times lately. It's like I just don't want something to be needed from me. I don't want to have to wake up and jump on my laptop right away to do these things before I go to work, you know.
So I guess we'll talk about this. This is a little piece that I've started, especially in this year, because, you know, I've got a teenager, I've got a tween, and school, and even in the past 4 months, like school has exploded.
Yeah.
In activities and schedules and homework and expectation, one of the things I've instituted is, okay, you come home, you have 30 minutes. Don't disturb each other. You get to do whatever you want. You get to go take a nap. You get to do just whatever. 30 minutes.
I like that.
And that's something that I have started doing. I've been trying to get Melinda to do that when she gets home.
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
Hasn't happened yet?
No.
It's hard.
It is. And, I mean, she's got, like, there's a lot of chaos in my job. She's dealing with an elementary school and has a lot more chaos.
Yeah.
So.
None of this is easy.
Yeah. Wow, we didn't even get to the question yet.
No?
No.
I didn't even read it yet.
I know, you've got the question.
Yeah.
And we just had 15 minutes of conversation that was...
Easily, yeah.
A whole different level of depth and reality of our lives. Kenny put the bourbon down. Oh, it's not bourbon.
It's not.
Jeez. I don't even know what we're drinking anymore.
Dark and stormy.
All right, I need some water.
All right. So we are going to look at this third and final question.
Jeopardy. Final round.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute. You said you read these earlier.
I forgot this was the question. So this is new to me now. Okay. This
is it new to you, or is it new to 3/4 of the bottle of rum?
Yeah. That's the answer to that. Yes. So, this is a rabbit hole one. How do you feel about the direction life has taken you since the first episode? Holy begonias.
Oh.
How do you feel about the direction life is taking you, Rob?
Okay, wait a minute. When does this episode come out before I answer that?
Oh, boy. So this will be...
June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Okay. I can't answer all of that yet.
Okay.
Tomorrow I might be able to answer more.
Okay. But not with a microphone in front of you.
Not yet.
Okay.
Because, there are some interesting things in development. I'm not leaving.
I was going to say, you going back to Pittsburgh?
No.
Okay.
I did that in December. And in the words of my son, depression. At least in my old hometown, it was, that's depression.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It's like the north side of Lebanon.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yep. So anyway, yes.
So you're looking at me now.
I am looking at you now because I forgot the question, so I need a moment to sip on this and try and remember.
Okay. Well, I'll share it again. We're struggling here. How do you feel about the direction life has taken you since the first episode? How do I feel about... This is not necessarily a podcasting question, right? It's how do you feel about the direction that life has taken you?
But it is a podcasting question. Because, think about it. What elements of our life have we hidden from this podcast? We did an episode back in February where you and I had an aha moment about intimacy and wives and going, we're not alone in this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
See? So, what element of our lives have we hidden from the podcast?
I feel like not a lot at this point.
I don't share when I wipe.
Well.
So, there you go. That's about it.
I appreciate you not doing that.
Well, now you're going to get a text tomorrow.
As long as it doesn't have a picture.
That's extra.
I'm not paying. How do I feel about the direction life has taken me since the first episode? Life has been a roller coaster, not a roller coaster, but it's been a whirlwind.
But that's recently.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Sure.
That's part of what I'm looking at, where it's, okay, recently I feel, whoa.
Yeah.
But in the past year and a half, there's still an element of whoa.
Yeah. It's, how I feel personally, it's just been, sometimes I look back on it and it's like, how did we get here?
Maybe there's a danger to what is my profession and considering this. But those elements of, when I'm old and I can look back and say, well, yeah, I did this.
Yeah.
Or I did that. And there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I'm going to be able to look back and say, yeah, I did a podcast. Here it is.
You're like, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. And this guy, Kenny, he's dead now. But
he's dead now. He's been dead for years.
Yeah, but I'm expecting I'm going to be saying that when I'm 90, and you've kicked the bucket at like 98. So no checking out early. We already had that conversation.
Okay, fine. I'll stick around as long as I can.
All right, so this was a surreal moment for me. I'm going to share a ministry moment.
Okay.
Because it gives context for sometimes how I frame these things.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like terrifying and unique, and it was a wild moment. One of the things that I have occasionally done is I've gone along with a pastor or just connected with someone who is an elder in the church, and just been able to minister to them in that elder age of life.
Okay.
And there was a gentleman in a past church who I connected with and I was able to minister to as he was in, the last decades of his life. And he was a World War II veteran.
Okay.
And he was sharing some stories. And I'm a bit of a history buff. I know some things. I don't know all things, but I know enough.
Yeah.
That I was able to continue and have a conversation with him. And he was sharing with me how he was part of a special operations unit in World War II. And they helped raid and secure a submarine base in Denmark.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he's sharing with me, it's a multiple pin, and I was able to look the information up, find his unit, I mean, it was, oh, crap. I mean, this is real.
Serious stuff.
And he goes, oh, yeah, and I got to show you something. And he walks away. He goes to his room, comes back a moment later, and he's got this is not a story I share often for reasons. He's got this gold-plated Kriegsmarine dagger.
Oh, wow.
Which is the Nazi Navy, their submarine dagger from a captain who surrendered his ship to his unit, to him. And he puts this in my hands. That's, oh, shit.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
What do you do with this piece of
history?
Hate.
Yeah.
And history and victory and defeat. I mean, it was...
Yeah.
Whew.
The history in that one piece.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a big moment.
Yeah.
Sitting there and, you're looking at this guy he was in his late 80s at this point, and he's reliving his stories, his moments, and saying, I was there.
That's crazy.
And that's kind of how I've learned to frame things, is out of seeing it through those eyes of saying, okay, yeah, someday I'll be able to look and say, I had this podcast. We did this thing.
I'll be able to tell that story.
Now, it's no story like that.
No, but in context, like, that's how you feel about it.
Yeah, and so when I look at questions like that and frame it, it's, wow, in this time, in this period, you and I have been doing this a year and a half.
Yeah.
Even if the impact is only in our lives, which it's not at this point.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, we're building connections, community, and a whole different conversation on the outside of this.
Yeah.
But I was there. I was in the room. I was a piece of this conversation that changed, even if it's just our community here and now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's cool about this podcast.
I think, you're 100% right about that. Like, you have, like it or not, you have a bit of a voice and a platform, even though you've sort of given it to yourself. Still, and then you have a decision then what you're going to do with that platform.
So there's the element of, I was picking on some of my students who, again, they know I do the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was saying, yeah, we're going to have this guest or that guest. And they're, oh, you're going to have them on? And one of the questions that came up with it was, and I'll ask you, like, if there was a dream guest that you could have on the podcast, who would it be?
Oh, man.
You only get one.
I only get one. Michael Jordan.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, from a celebrity standpoint.
I said you could you get one guest, any guest.
Yeah.
That would be the guest you would choose.
Yes.
All right, I got to ask why. I mean, I have an assumption. But
I'm just a huge Jordan fan, and it's been well documented over the years the ways that he motivated himself and the way he took where he spun like perceived disrespect and spun it into fuel, and he always found a way to fuel himself. Right? Even when he was the best of the best, winning everything you could possibly win, he was still finding ways to fuel the desire to be better.
Yeah.
And I think from that standpoint, it would be great to have the conversation about that.
That would be interesting.
Once you've reached the pinnacle of your profession, your sport, whatever you're trying to achieve, to still be able to motivate yourself at a high level is intriguing to me.
And that would be interesting because from what I've understood, third party, outside voices is he's a hard man.
Yeah.
He can be rather, tough on others and himself and
big time
vocal about that.
Nobody was harder on him than him.
Yeah.
And there was a few years back there was the special, I don't know, I think it was a 30 for 30 with the Jordan and the Bulls and all this stuff, and there was a story in it about Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr is now the current coach of the Golden State Warriors. I guess they're still Golden State Warriors. I think that's still the town that they're in. But anyway, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, those guys, and won championships and things like that. Well, Steve Kerr won championships as a player with the Bulls, but there was a time that they were winning championships before Steve Kerr got there. So this particular story was Scottie Pippen was a bit disgruntled, and he wanted, he thought he was owed a bigger piece of the pie and all of these things. So what he did was there was a surgery that he had needed, and he waited till like most of the off season and then decided like, oh, I'm gonna have the surgery now. So he missed like the first half of the year, the next year, and it was sort of his way of saying, okay, this is how you're gonna play me, then this is how I'm gonna play you, right? Which didn't sit very well, but it was one of those things where Steve Kerr came in then, and it was like practice, and he was basically like Michael Jordan was a complete asshole, and was, they got into it. They got into it on the court in practice, and Steve Kerr, like, he basically they came to blows. They were like punching each other.
Yeah, I have heard this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course Phil Jackson kicks Jordan out because he essentially started it, and like, get out of here, go home, just get lost. And then, but after that, him and Steve Kerr were like best of buddies because he's like, all right, this guy has it. He didn't back down from me. He didn't take my crap in practice. And he's like, and he earned my respect. And that's just how Jordan, like it or not, that's how Jordan was.
Okay, speaking from a guy's perspective, like, yeah, there are people that I have headbutted with. Mm-hmm. And, when we finally have it out and we bash skulls and fight it out, so, yeah, I got more respect for you after that than I did before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get that. That's, especially in the raw sportsmanship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no more pound your chest situation than professional sports.
Right.
And
when you have that moment that is headbutt that is the pinnacle of conflict, and it's okay. You can stand toe to toe with me, and vice versa. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
but it's also tough. I mean, that comes across as corrosive and caustic in some ways, but that's
it does. And you could argue that it was.
But on the court, in that context, in that moment, and I guess that's even, all right, to draw it out to Taylor Swift.
Oh, boy.
I mean, we saw that in the Super Bowl with Travis Kelce and Andy Reid.
Yeah.
There's that moment on the field, and it's, okay, yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Travis Kelce fan.
Yeah.
Because he's not a Steeler, sorry.
I mean, I would agree with that. I am a Jason Kelce fan.
Yeah, Jason Kelce's just fun.
Right?
Yes.
He is.
And yeah, I'm not an Eagles fan. Anyway, but yeah, I get that, where it's okay, that relationship between Andy Reid and Travis Kelce might have, or does have, that element in it. So, all right.
And Andy Reid was very quick to shut that down. And that is the quality of coach that Andy Reid is.
I didn't like Reid with the Eagles.
Yeah.
But I got to say, he's done well with the Chiefs.
Yeah, he shut it down.
I say that begrudgingly.
Well,
under protest.
I'm a big Andy Reid fan just because of his time in Philadelphia. I had a lot of respect for...
He's one of the best coaches in the league. Just hands down. I'm sorry.
Honestly, in my opinion, he's one of the best coaches that the league has seen. He's probably... He's if he's not in the top 10, he's got to be close. I mean, what... Yeah. He's
I can't imagine he would not be top 10.
He's so good. But that went no further than what you saw on the sideline. Because it was handled. It was handled probably in the locker room with a conversation and then never to be spoke of again.
And I can respect that. But again, having done wrestling in high school, I get that.
Yeah. So I thought
Michael Jordan is interesting. Okay. And that was a good, rewarding rabbit trail. Yeah.
So who would your, seeing as how you asked me, who would your dream guest be?
See, I think I'm split between 2.5 people.
I'm going to say like the cast of 2.5 Men.
No, I'm not split between that. Although Charlie Sheen would be fascinating.
Oh my God. Well, I don't know that we have enough alcohol for that.
Well, he's sober now, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
I think he is.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, rabbit trail on that one. I would be between The Rock and Ryan Reynolds. Like those would be my top two.
Neither of those neither of those are bad decisions.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you got to think they would come with their own alcohol.
Yeah, that is definitely
Terramana.
Yes.
Or Aviation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either one would be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to either.
Yeah.
And then, the 2.5 would be John Cena.
Oh. But if he was here, we wouldn't even be able to see him.
I know. But it would just be fascinating. Can you imagine having it?
Can you imagine the size of either John Cena or The Rock?
You need to move this interview outside.
He wouldn't fit. I don't think he would fit in this room.
We would have to find a weekend when our wives are away.
Yes. Yeah, because they would be drooling outside the door.
We wouldn't have wives.
No.
That's for all three of them. So, yeah.
Was anything like one of my old a coworker that I used to work with? She was an older lady. She was a fan of The Rock, and she used to say, "I'd put my slippers under his bed any day." Yeah, she's like 80, right?
You gotta love.
There you go. And she was not shy about it. She's like, yes.
All right, Grandma, I know you listen. I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
I started kind of unintentionally this tradition. My grandfather's passed away. I bought a 18-year-old bottle of, I think it was Glenlivet.
Okay.
So when my grandfather Cochran passed away, we opened it up at his wake and celebrated, and, it was a whole bunch of Cochrans. And my grandmother, toasts, and she goes, "I'm a Cochran by injection."
No.
What?
Did she know what she said?
Oh, she knew exactly what she said.
And that's why she said it.
And that was one of those moments where it was like, ha, ha.
You don't even know how to respond to that.
Ha. I still don't, but you know what? Cheers to the old ladies with libidos.
The Cochrane by injection.
I occasionally pick on my wife for that, too. I was like, you're a Cochrane by injection. What are you talking about?
What does Mel say to that?
She rolls her eyes at me.
Of course she does.
I was like, you're not born into this insanity. I am.
That's exactly what Nell would do.
You married it.
She did. Yeah, you had a choice. I didn't.
I'm sorry, Nell, when he tells you that later.
I'm going to tell Nell she's a Tice by injection.
Yes, but I can appreciate that, libido.
Yeah.
At every age.
Yeah.
Just because of that.
Nothing wrong with that.
You know what? Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
human.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Honestly. So and wrapping up, how do you feel about the direction life has taken you since the first episode? Not necessarily because of the podcast, but I love it and it's daunting all at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's my answer, I think.
And you and I haven't even touched on any of this, but like the last month of our collective lives. We touched on the kidney stones. You touched
on the kidney stones.
Yeah, kidney stones. I mean, the last month of our collective lives has been pure chaos. Even just finding, we're drinking on a Monday night because that's the night we have.
This is the requirement.
Yeah.
No.
So going past this month, the way I look at it is, we're in the room, we're in this moment, we are doing this thing, seeking to connect with community, seeking to connect with our peers, our others, our whoever.
Yeah.
That's going to be able to just sit here and, again, we always say, doesn't matter, come have a drink with us.
Yes.
You're sober? Great, we'll have water, pop, coffee, whatever.
Correct.
You drink, we will do anything but Viper wine.
Oh, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't even know why. I'm just not.
Yeah, I think right now that's the one that we have drawn the line at.
Yes.
Maybe there will be more.
It was the one we drew the line at because we assumed that Craig was going to show up with it. And we were...
Yeah, but Nate was the bigger threat with that.
Yeah, that's a little strange. Yeah, I mean... Yes.
Some days I don't know which end of the Lowrys is coming at me. And yes, I know what I said.
I was going to say... That's fair, though.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because
while they're very different, they're not so much.
Right. And shout out to Nate because he's been texting me at awkward hours of the morning saying, you on a treadmill? Screw off, Nate.
Awkward hours of the morning.
It is, but unfortunately I'm on the treadmill.
How awkward?
Yeah, 6-ish.
Oh, yeah, that's early.
Yeah,
and you not being a morning person.
This coming from the guy who's up at like 3 a.m, cleaning house, folding laundry.
Yeah, but you're not a morning person.
Oh gosh, I'm a murder morning.
That's why I said that.
Yeah.
So. Oh man.
But yeah, I think it's just, I would summarize it with that, where I'm happy to be in the room, in the moment, and going, there are connections and moments we are having.
Yeah.
Because the Drunk Squirrel exists in this time and place.
Yeah, I think we're going to look back on this a year from now. And if we have the same question, it's going to look a whole lot different then.
I think it's a good thing if we do hit pause every season.
Mm-hmm.
And, we hit it now because of just the chaos of life.
Yeah, correct.
But hit pause to look back at what has been the past season or the season of life or season of podcasting as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And say, how are we doing? Where are we at? What are the highlights? What are the moments?
This was fair. And I'll give you... Kenny's Nuggies of Wisdom has come to me, actually. So
I was about to say, is this the Nuggies?
Well, yeah, you brought it up at the beginning, and I'm like, oh, crap, okay. Well, hopefully something comes to me. And it did. While we were having this conversation, this episode, or this series of episodes, and the episode that we re-released our introduction.
Yeah.
all came to be out of chaos, basically.
Yes.
And that's where this all came from. So the premise of this episode, of these 2 episodes, came from that. The one where we just literally, we re-released an episode because we just didn't have the time. And you have to, when those situations arise, you have to allow them to be what they're going to be. Because I didn't like it. I'm like, because consistency, right? That's what you're in this stuff. That's what you're preached. Be consistent. But you just need to know when that moment hits. Be like, this is not going to be good for anybody. We need to pump the brakes here. And, that's why, I suggested it when I suggested it. And I was like, I think this is what we should do.
But how much of that consistency is just the invitation to being a part of our lives?
Yeah.
Through the Drunk Squirrel, in this moment, for, this episode or the next, we're not having conversations about when it's ending. We're having conversations about, wow, we have a long list of guests.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, where we're at. The consistency isn't the episode as much as it's you and I, this moment, and being real.
Yeah.
And
being human.
Being in ministry. I say this because there was a moment today where it's like the bullshit meter was at a level 12.
It would ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was piled higher and deeper. And it was, I know you're shitting me on this, but you know what?
Yeah.
You don't want to walk with me or the church.
Yeah.
In life. So we're just going to do what we can to get rid of you. And that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at you're a part of, and this is the third chair, the scurry.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are a part of this conversation. And I think that's fair, where it's the consistency is not just we're releasing content, we're releasing who we are, and we want to be a part of your life as much as you are a part of our life.
Yeah, you get to a point where you don't want to release content just to release content.
Yeah.
And part of it is, I have something I'd like to say.
Come on, I mean, what do we hold back? I don't send wiping photos.
Yeah.
That's what we hold back.
I have something that I would like to say, and this is good or bad or indifferent. I'm not sure which it is, but it is what it is. So the podcast, this podcast, Nell's podcast, the radio show stuff that we do, 3 live shows a week.
Yeah, you guys got a lot.
That's not what I'm alluding to here.
I'm saying that is impressive. Like, you got a lot.
Are you look like you're feeling me.
I'm feeling you, Kenny. I'm feeling you.
We chose to, and with the Drunk Squirrel, you chose to do these things. When I'm speaking of that, and then obviously, Melinda is involved in it. And the kids, they have to come along for the ride because that's their job.
Yeah.
But, Melinda's involved in this too. But I chose to do it, and with that, I chose to do it to the best of my ability. It wasn't a convenience thing. It'd be like, okay, so I know I have this podcast, and we'll record episodes, and we'll be as consistent as we can when it's convenient for us. And the radio show, right? We want to do live radio, and it's not when it's convenient to do it. It's going to be like we committed to it, and we're going to show up, and we're going to do it to a point. And I take a lot of pride in the fact that between those 3 shows, now some of them just started more recently, like Nell's show's just started, mine's 7 months in or whatever it is, but OTR is over 1.5 years now.
Yeah.
Between those 3 shows, we have only not been live 4 times total over 3 shows.
It was only 4?
OTR, was...
Let me rephrase that. It was 4? I thought it was less than.
No. OTR was a replay one time, and it was a pre-recorded episode another time. The one time we weren't going to be able to be live, Jessica recorded an episode with us that we sent to them, and they just aired it in the spot.
Huh.
And then my show, when we were in Arizona...
That one I remember.
That was not live.
I mean, that was a month ago.
And her show wasn't live that week, but we did OTR live, and we kicked it to 2 hours. And the reason we didn't do our shows live was because out of respect for the people that we were with, when you're in Arizona, that would have been like dead center in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
And if they're trying to plan stuff for us to do, like, oh, no, we can't. We have to go back and do our shows. Like, we didn't want to do that to them since we were staying with them.
And the on the road being live in that 2 hour window that you guys did makes sense. And pre-recording what was 90s Revenge with Rhinell.
Yes.
And Flip Flops and Beer.
Yes.
With Kenneth.
Yeah, right.
Which I have to laugh because, you know, that first episode we did, I was like, all right, are you Kenny, or Kenneth? And you're like, I hate Kenneth. But here you are, Flip Flops and Beer with Kenneth.
Yeah, Debs thought that was a Debs brainchild. I'm like, you know what? That's fun. Let's roll with it. It's different. So
it actually works. Like Kenneth and Rhinell in those two.
Kenneth and Rhinell.
It works well.
So
yes,
my point is, I take great pride in showing up, and that we didn't do it out of convenience. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I think it shows. I think it means something, and it means something to me to do it.
I think what you're trying to say is there's an element of I love you. No, I'm being serious.
Wait, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you.
Well, I know. How often do I tell you I love you, Kenny?
Well,
about every other week.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, that's true.
But no, I mean it's. What you are doing in the radio shows, in the podcasts, in the moments you are showing up digitally is the I love you. I'm not here because I'm profiting. I'm here because, you know what, I love what I'm doing, and I love the audiences I am building.
I'm sure it's not there. I'm sure as hell not there because I'm profiting. That's for sure.
Yeah, we keep talking about getting a Patreons and, you know, OnlyFans started. Only feet.
Only feet. We're going to put our feet on there. I'm going to stick my feet next. I'm going to stick my foot next to the...
It's going to be to pay us, not to stick our feet on the internet.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good idea. They'll be like, you know what? Here's $50. Just stop.
Yeah.
Don't post
no more
that.
Photos.
Don't post that photo again.
But
yeah,
it's that where, I mean, what you're doing isn't just... It's not about you. It's also about the audience. It's about the community. It's about the moments that you have built because you don't want to create content to get money.
Yeah.
And, okay, maybe this is a weirder, deeper conversation than we ever go, but like the Met Gala.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, where everyone's kind of up in arms and eat the rich and all of that. But what we're trying to do isn't create this moment of, look at me.
Yeah.
And it goes even into everything that you have a finger in, which is a lot. Let us giggle like 13-year-olds again. Finger. Okay. All right.
Anyway.
Really brief rabbit trail. Did you see the SNL Beavis and Butthead?
I did not.
You need to look it up.
Okay.
As a Gen Xer and child of the 80s and 90s, you need to look it up.
Okay.
Okay?
Fair enough.
SNL, Beavis and Butthead, and just enjoy.
YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Fair enough.
Cornholio.
Where I come from, they have no DP.
Okay. But it is an action of love in building the audiences.
Yeah. That's what we're doing here.
And you know what? I mean, you and I enjoy these moments, and we get into it. Yeah, sometimes we're a little slow. Sometimes we're on top of it. But at the end of the day...
You never know what you're getting from us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, this episode is going to be about, 50 minutes.
Okay.
So we recorded for, an hour and a half.
Holy crap, it's a school night, yes.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap this thing up.
Yeah, good night. Bye. Hasta luego.
So,
cheers.
Rob, thanks for coming and hanging out on Monday night. Rob is on his, I think he has 1 foot out the door.
Kenny, your nuggies were too warm. I'm out of here.
My nuggies were too warm. So, anyway, thanks for bringing the ingredients for the Dark and Stormy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. We have a little bit left. We could possibly have one more drink later on. I mean, not today.
No, just you go finish that rum. I'm
not finishing that. You got to get your kids home. I understand that. So, but anyway, thanks for hanging out on a Monday night. I know it's, you probably had a lot of stuff to do, but
so do you. But you know what? I've missed you. Yeah, I've missed all of you. I've missed you.
It's been a while, so
yeah,
I've missed. This is fun, and I look forward to it. And yeah, I've missed you, and I've missed this. So, we'll have to do this again.
Apparently, I guess so. Yes.
Maybe next time.
I mean, our wives are still talking, so
yeah,
I guess
I'm assuming
so.
I mean, yours could have left and went home. I'm not sure. I might have to take you home.
Take me home. I was going to sleep on the couch.
Oh, we don't sleep on the couch. You have a spare room.
Oh, look at that! I get to cuddle up with Kenny tonight.
You do. So.
All right.
Spooning leads to forking. Anyway, on that note, thank you for listening to this episode of The Drunk Squirrel, and we will catch you again in 2 weeks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to The Drunk Squirrel. No need to pay a tab. Just be sure to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and drop us a line, thedrunksquirrel82@gmail.com. Cheers.